Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad's Sunday Lectures, brought to you by the Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Temple Unite. This Sunday's lecture will be brought to you by Brother Minister Haq Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. In the most holy name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his divine servant and messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet my listeners, my observers, those of you who are tuning in for the first, second, third time. We welcome you to Muhammad's Sunday Lectures. This is the Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Temple United, and we thank you for listening to us this afternoon or evening or Central Time, Eastern Time, whatever time zone that you're in. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a neighbor that Muhammad's Sunday Lectures is on. As we are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that whenever we come together, we open up in prayer, asking Allah to guide us and bless us. So please join me, whatever God that you believe in the Muslim opening prayer. Surely I turn myself to thee, O Allah, trying to be upright, to he who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I'm not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associates has he, and this I am commanded, I am those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, and there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thou. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thou. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and the followers of Muhammad successful, here in the wilderness of North America, as thou didst make Abraham and the followers of Abraham successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad and the followers of Muhammad, here in the wilderness of North America, as thou did bless Abraham and the followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. Once again, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our Sunday lectures. We have a very important subject that we want to cover today. As all of our subjects are important, as they come from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is dedicated to the resurrection of the black man and woman here in America. I'll say that again because some of us may not understand that. See, whenever God comes, he comes to a particular people at a particular time for a particular purpose. He came to Moses for the children of Israel. Jesus came for a particular reason. Abraham came. All the prophets came for a particular reason, to a particular people. Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, he came to the Arabs in Saudi Arabia. And his word and his teachings from the Holy Quran spread among the people. So we just wanted to clear that up and make that plain to you brothers and sisters, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is directly coming to the black man and woman of America. Well, you might say, well, why just the black people of America? Well, his teachings are so broad, so universal, they can affect anybody that listen to it and take and embrace that which is in the teachings. But because we as black people came through 400 years of slavery, where the knowledge of self, the knowledge of God, the knowledge of our religion, the knowledge of our culture, they had taken from us everything. So God had to come to us to give us that which was lost. So I hope that you can understand that, even though that's a deeper subject. But what we want to talk about today is what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. On the back page of Muhammad Speaks, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid out a program for black people in America. He laid it out. It is concise, it is simple and understandable. And brothers and sisters, you need to get a chance. You can find it in the Message to the Black Man. If you can get copies of some of the newspapers that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad published, or go on the internet, you'll see what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe, and it will give you a basic understanding what our principles are, who are we, what is our idea, what are we doing, and what are we here for. But before we get into that, I always talk about how to eat to live. Because regardless if we have a program of our wants and beliefs, regardless of what we're doing in terms of our sojourn here in America, if you're not healthy, brothers and sisters, if you're dying at an early age, if you're sick and ailing, none of this will mean anything to you. None of it. So you have to be healthy. I found a book some years ago in a rare bookstore here in New York City. And the title of the book was, and is, I still have it, Poisons in Your Food. I read the table of contents. I think I read the first chapter. I put the book down. Couldn't read it. Although I was familiar with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his great book, How to Eat to Live, this book went into all the chemicals and all the poisons that are in the foods in America. Couldn't read it. I probably wouldn't even eat anymore. If you read that book, you probably wouldn't want to eat anything in your life. So most of the foods are chemicalized. Most of the foods that we eat today are filled with all types of chemicals. GMOs, genetic organisms, multi-genetic organisms, all in the food. So you're not eating food while you're eating chemicals. And those chemicals are affecting your body. And it's breaking down your natural elements in your body. And this is why you'll find people, particularly in our community, suffering from kidney failure, suffering from diabetes, suffering from heart attacks, and all kind of metabolic deficiencies, because we're full of chemicals. One thing you need to start with before you begin to study and research the chemicals that are in the foods, you need to get off pork. Stop eating pork. You can do that. There's so many other things you can eat. You don't have to eat barbecue pork ribs, pig's feet, hog maws. Cheetos. Yeah, people are still eating that stuff. You're eating chitlins. As Malcolm used to say, you're a gut eater. And all you say is it tastes good. Just because something tastes good, it doesn't mean it's good for you. Some of you walking around with bellies. Some of you men, you look like you're pregnant. You can't even button your pants. You can't even bend over. The last time you saw your shoes was about 20 years ago. You can't even look down to see your shoes because your belly is in the way. Our sisters are walking around fat, overweight, gut hanging out. Some of you wearing the halter blouses and tops. All your meat is hanging out. You're sick. We got to do better, brothers and sisters, and we can do better. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us a book called How to Eat to Live. Because there are so many chemicals in the food, it's hard to get away from them. Even we, members of the Nation of Islam, even though we make efforts to eat as close as possible to the messengers, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's dietary laws or teachings, we're still affected by the chemicals that are in the foods. So how do you deal with that? You have to fast. You have to cleanse your body. See, when you fast, understand, we have veins. The veins are where the blood travels in your body. See, the blood is moving up and down your body from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. From the soles of your feet to the top of your head. Blood is running throughout the body. The blood is the lifeline to the body. But it's filled with chemicals. The only way that you can cleanse yourself is through fasting. Because when you fast, you're not putting anything in your body. You're not putting those toxic things. So it's cleansing the blood. So you can fast, maybe start out with a day. Don't eat for the whole day. Don't eat that day, eat the next day. That's one day, 24 hours. And if you are able to do that, then you eat every 2 days. Or you can fast for 3 days. That is sufficient. You start out, your last meal would be on Friday, and then on Sunday you break your fast. That's where the word breakfast comes from. It means to break your fast. And then on Sunday, you can eat a nice, wholesome meal. And you'll feel better, and you'll look better. And you men, you'll look like me. Don't you want to look like me? Yeah, I look good. But we all have to make those efforts. And sometimes it's a struggle. But whenever there's a struggle, come ease after you overcome your struggle. How to eat to live. Don't eat just for taste. Eat to live. All right, we got past that. What the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. And you might say, well, I'm not a Muslim. Well, yes, you are a Muslim. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the 40 to 50 million black people that are here in America, we are all Muslims. Muslim only means one who submits his or her will to do the will of God or the will of Allah. Okay? You were born a Muslim. Everything in nature is born Muslim. It's born in the nature in which God created everything in the universe. Okay? You just don't know it. You just don't know it. This is why when Master Farad Muhammad God in person met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and gave him some lessons, he asked them who are Muslims. He said, not all black people in America don't know they're Muslims because they were made deaf, dumb, and blind to the knowledge of themselves and the knowledge of God. So they don't know that they're Muslims. He asked him, is there any Muslims other than righteous? He said, no, I've never heard of any. He was merciful to us. Because we want righteous. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All praises is due to Allah. Now, what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe is a series of information given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as a document to show that we are independent people. Right now, there's a national elections that's going to be taking place. There's a national election, which is going to be between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It's going to happen this year. Okay? In the Fall of America, a book written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on page 36 called The National Elections. Read that. Find it. Read it. There are things in there that are very similar to what's happening today. Even though that was in 1960 when he made that speech or he dealt with that, it was in the national election between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. It's a document. It's a document. The wants and beliefs. Now, there's going to be elections. Someone is going to be the president. And all the people in America is going to have an agenda to let the president of the United States know these are some of the things that we believe and these are the things that we want from you, Mr. President or Mrs. President, whoever it may be. The LGBTQ, you guarantee they're going to have an agenda. The Jewish community, they are going to have an agenda. The migrants are going to have an agenda. Oh yes, everybody's going to have an agenda. The Asian community, they're going to have an agenda, and they're going to present that agenda to whoever's the president of the United States. Where is our agenda? We need a black agenda, but we don't have one. And you know what they tell us? Oh, we're not the president just for black people. We're the president for all the people of America. Yeah, that's all right. But everyone has an agenda that they're going to push and present to whoever is the president of the United States. I guarantee you that. There's nothing wrong with having an agenda. We have a certain position that we have to make sure that we take care of the masses of black people. And people are running around all scared, mass hysteria. Oh, if Donald Trump gets in, what are we going to do? Some people are talking about leaving America, getting their passport and going to other countries. No, What happened to the fact that this is your country? What happened to your word saying that you're not going to leave here, you're going to fight? It's because we don't have an agenda. There's a document that's out now called Project 2025. Some of you have heard about it. Some of you don't even know what it's about, what's in it. It's a document that was put together by former Trump advisors and some private conservative people that want to be and are in control of certain elements in terms of money, in terms of power and influence. It's about 900 pages. I'm not going to read no 900 pages. I'm going to tell you that right now. But let me tell you some of the things that's in there. In fact, one of the groups that put together this document called Project 2025 is called the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation, private group of businessmen and, powerful people in different places. These are some of the things that's in this document. They want to ban private sector labor unions. Unions are organized to make sure there's a bargaining between the employees, the government, whoever they're working for, to make sure they have rights. That's what's in the Project 2025. They want to eliminate, ban them, shut them down, no unions. They want to end student loan forgiveness. That's something they want to do. Think about it. They want to reform the educational systems in America. And in many major cities, brothers and sisters, in many major cities in America, our children represent the majority of the student population, but we have no control over the education or the curriculum, but we are the majority. Now, if some people came from a distant galaxy, from outer space, and they came here, and they saw a school where white people were running everything, but we were in the majority. Isn't there a saying? Majority rules? But our children are the majority. But all the teachers are white. The administrators are, the majority of them are white. The curriculum is set by white people. But they want to reform the educational system. They want to reform the Supreme Court. They want to put things in and take things out. And the Supreme Court is the highest court in the American government. They want to terminate Head Start, which is where you put your children in daycare. I can't go into everything, brothers and sisters. Y'all need to read some of it yourself. But these are some of the things. They want to eliminate abortion. We shouldn't even be concerned with that, because we should have as many children, but the children have to be taken care of economically. But we should have as many children as possible, because they're trying to eliminate us. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, abortion is a death plan. And white people are having children. They want to reform the family structure. There's particular things in there that they want to eliminate, they want to introduce for the family. But we get our instructions on how to raise a family from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're not looking for the white people to tell us how to structure and raise our children and form our family. No, we have our own mores and folkways and cultural setup. They want to ban books. They want to decide what books goes into the schools and what books are not allowed. We must teach our own. I didn't know anything about black history until I came into the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They didn't teach me those things in school. Then you have to teach your children in your home what books that are beneficial for them. And they want to introduce prayer in the school. So there's a whole array of things that's in this 900-page Project 2025. But we're not afraid of that, because white people have already been doing that. There's a lot of things that they never even put in a document called Project 25 that's in effect right now that you don't have any say-so in. So that's not going to scare us. And black people say, oh, what they're going to come, what they're going to do to us. They're going to take us back to slavery while you're enslaved right now. This is a new form of slavery. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that to us over 40 years ago. He said, you will see slavery revisit America in the future. So when we heard that, we thought about, being in chains and shackles. No, This is more sophisticated form of slavery. A more sophisticated form of slavery. So we have to understand where we're at and what time it is. So, the wants and beliefs. See, we are a nation brothers and sisters, here in America. There's over 40 million black people, and that's according to the census. It could be 50 million. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad once said it could be 60 million of us, because sometimes they don't regulate, or they don't tap into the amount of people that they're not allowed to have information on. So we are a nation. There are nations all over the world, and we are a nation. And we have to recognize that. We have a book that we believe in called the Holy Quran. We also believe in the Bible, but we believe that the Bible has been tampered with. And the Bible is a poison book, and it must be reinterpreted. It must be understood in order to get the wisdom and the knowledge that's in it for our resurrection and our liberation, brothers and sisters. But in this book, it talks about a nation having a term. Let me read it to you. This is the Holy Quran that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, over 1,400 years ago. But in this book, it said messengers sent to uplift a fallen humanity. Chapter 7, or Surah 7, and it says, every nation has a term. So when that term comes, they cannot remain behind the least while, nor can they precede it. Every nation has a term. Every nation on this earth has a term by which they must determine their existence and legitimacy on this earth. But the Holy Quran said, when that term comes, when that opportunity comes, you have to seize that time, and you can't hold it up, or else time will pass you by and you will be subject to the power and domination and control of another nation. This is a term for us, brothers and sisters. We're a nation, and this is our time to understand the term that's in effect for us to be free. The wants and beliefs. What the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. That's our document. That's our black agenda. And it's profound. I want all of you, this is your homework. Get a chance to read the wants and belief, and it give you a profound, fundamental idea what the Muslims or the members of the Nation of Islam is all about. The wants and belief is such a good document that the Black Panther Party took a lot of the information from what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced and wrote about the wants and belief. They interviewed Huey Newton one time. And I remember listening to it on one of the black radio stations. They were interviewing Huey P. Newton, who was the chairman of the Black Panther Party. And they asked Huey, they said, we noticed that your wants and beliefs are similar on the back page of your Black Panther Party newspaper, that of the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad. And he said, yes. He said, we took a lot of that information from Mr. Elijah Muhammad, and we used it to identify what we want and what we believe in the Black Panther Party. Yes, see, some of y'all didn't know that. I bet you some of you didn't even know that. See, a lot of times they don't give us credit, but Huey Newton was honest enough to say, yeah, we did take a lot of that information from the back page of Muhammad Speak newspaper presented by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, let's get into this program. In fact, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he wants to put the Muslim program to Congress. He wanted to present, in fact, he did presented to Congress. I mean, he didn't go and meet with congressmen, but he talked to certain political black figures and let them know this is the Muslim program. It is not just for Muslims, it's for every black man and woman of America. Now, all right, what the Muslims want. This is a question, this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying this here. He said, this is the question most frequently asked by both the whites and the blacks. The answers to this question I shall state as simply as possible. This is a question that is asked by the blacks and the whites. The first one is, we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. That's number one. We want freedom. Some of you say, well, I'm free. I remember growing up, and as children, we used to say, oh, you can't tell me what to do because we're free in America. We didn't understand. We really didn't understand what freedom is and what freedoms mean. We used to say, well, this is a free country. Well, how come there's majority of black people are in prison? The majority of the inmates in America are black people, and they are locked, they are crammed, they are jammed in American prisons. If we are free, then how come we're in prison? I remember Richard Pryor said he was in Arizona. He said he noticed that all the inmates in the prisons in Arizona were black people. He said, white people don't commit no crimes? That is a concerted effort to lock us up and keep us imprisoned. And that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we want a full and complete freedom. He said we must be free indeed. Not just free in name, but free indeed. And he refers to the sun that he was told about by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said the sun is the life in this galaxy that sends light and life to the 9 planets that it affects. He said the sun is 853,000 miles in diameter, straight through, and it's 93 million miles from the earth. And that light from the sun pierces the darkness, and them rays of the sun hits the earth and makes it rotate and brings up vegetation, keeps us warm, keeps us in a state of life. And that sun's rays shines on everybody. It's free. You don't have to pay for the light of the sun. It shines on the wino, the dope fiend, the crackhead. It shines on the white man, the black man. It shines on all the men. Yes. It shines on everybody, the Asians. It shines all around. That sun makes no distinction. That is freedom. That is freedom. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we want to be free, not just in name, but indeed. Now, what do you mean indeed? The word deed or indeed means without question, reality, truthfully, not just something written on a piece of paper. We want to be free where we can be justified in doing the things that's going to be beneficial to black people. Whenever a people is subjugated under the power of another people, the only way you get out of that, you need a divine solution. You need a divine program. You need a program that just won't last for a minute, but a program that will make us free forever and into the future where our grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren can exist. We need to be free and free indeed. He said we want a full and complete freedom, not just a half a piece of freedom. We want a full freedom. What do you mean a full freedom? You just can't just give us a job and think that's something that we would be free of. But we need to have a freedom that will allow us to continue to exist as a people where we can make sure that no one else comes and subjugates us. Okay. Let's be patient with me, brothers and sisters. This is really a kind of an extensive subject. This is long. This is long. And it might have to be done in maybe 2-3 parts. You know, it's a long program. This is why I encourage you to read it yourself so you can get an idea on what you need to do. Okay. We want justice. We want equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed, class, or color. See, that's intelligent. That's prudent. See, that is something that makes you a well-rounded person. See, he just didn't want freedom or justice for black people. He said regardless of who it is, regardless of the creed, the color, the condition. But he is advocating for each and every one of us. We want equal justice under the law. And this is why in the prisons and in the courts, you'll find black people not receiving true justice. What is justice? Justice is fair dealing, being fair. When I was growing up, whenever someone in the community that I was living in committed a crime, that I noticed that the black people were taken to jail. But when the white people committed a crime, they took them to the precinct, or the cops came to their house, or the police came to their house and negotiated with their families and said, oh, Kenny was just being a boy, he was just being a little mischievous, we'll work on that. But when it came to us, they put us away. So we want justice. We want equal justice. We want everything that everyone else gets, be fair with us. That's all we're asking. Praises be to Allah. See, this is something that needs to be presented to the Congress and to whoever the United States president. We want equality. This is number 3. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. I'll read that again, brothers and sisters, so you can understand. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. So when we were under 400 years of slavery or 310 years of slavery, when we were so-called free, there were about 4 things that the white people never taught us in our so-called emancipation. They never taught us the knowledge of self. We didn't know who we were. We thought we were slaves. They had taken everything from us. The knowledge of self, the knowledge of God, the knowledge of our religion and culture. So we didn't know who we were. They never taught us the science of warfare. What do you mean the science of warfare? That means where you would have something and then You have to know how scientifically, strategically, how to protect that which you have. You need an army. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad set up what we call the Fruit of Islam, the FOI. We're not no terrorist group. We're not no a bunch of thugs in suits. But we did something to protect that which we had. That which we had. So, they never taught us the science of warfare. They never taught us the science of economics. This is why every other group in America has stores and businesses in our community. And this is not to say there are black people with vibrant and businesses that are thriving. But overall, if you look in the black community, most of the stores are owned and operated and supplied by white people. So we didn't understand the science of economics, how you can skillfully put things together to give you a greater output. The science of economics, that's a whole nother subject, brothers and sisters. And the last thing they never taught us was the science of mating, which means how to pick a mate, how to pick a wife, how to put two things together to make something greater. You know, we went after women as black men because they had big breasts or big hips, or they looked good and they looked cute. And the sisters went with men because he was so-called, oh, he's fine. He's handsome. But does he have a job? Could he take care of you? Could he protect you and elevate you and respect you? We were never taught that. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we want equality. We want to be equal with the best of society. And we never had that opportunity. They called us second-class citizens. We were considered 3/5 of a human being, which means it had to take about 3 or 4 of us to make us be recognized as a human being. All praise is due to Allah. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're moving right along. Like I said, this is a very extensive subject, but it's a subject that needs to be discussed because we don't have a black agenda. You know, we always make excuses, and we got to stop doing that because we're better. Number 4, we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be able to establish a separate state or territory of our own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce our own needs. That is simple, and that may seem a little radical to you, but every people have what they call self-determination. At one time, Pakistan was part of India. They put together a program, whatever that was. They had their wants and belief, and they separated to set up a state and territory of their own called Pakistan. There was some fighting, there was some bloodshed, but in the end, they established it. Okay? You have many, many other things in history that happened like that. Well, you have Israel. They set up a state, a separate state. Israel is a state. It's not a country. They set up a separate state, and they feel that they are self-determined. Okay? Yes, there's many, many examples in history where that has happened, where people have set up their own separate state and territory. Study it. It's there. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the white man, the government of the United States are obligated. What do you mean obligated? Because of our 400 years of blood, our sweat, and that we helped build America. You are obligated, because if we cannot get along with you in peace and you claiming that we are burden on America, then let us go free. If we fail, that's on us. But he said that at least give us enough substance and support that will able to sustain us for 20 to 25 years. Then after that, we can be on our own. Every nation, every people, everybody wants to be free and wants to have what you call self-determination. I can't go into everything in detail, brothers and sisters, else we could be here forever, you know. He goes on to say, to justify point number 4 in what the Muslims want, he said, since we cannot get along with them, meaning white people, in peace and equality after 400 years of sweat and blood, and received in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contribution to the land and the sufferings have forced upon us by the white America justifies our demand for a complete separation in a state or territory of our own. And you might say, you want to separate? The point is that he said, if we can't get along with you after giving you 400 years of our service, and we don't get along in peace, then the only solution is a separation. If you look in the Bible, if you look in the scriptures, you see all separation. When Prophet Muhammad rose up in Saudi Arabia and was dominated by the enemies of Islam, he separated. He left Mecca and went into Medina. That's a form of separation. Until he got powerful and they marched back into Medina as a self-determined nation of Islam. Okay? Moses separated the children of Israel from Pharaoh and went into the promised land. That's a form of separation. Jesus said, in the scriptures, he said, go not in the way of the Sadducees and the Pharisees, but go to the children in the house of Israel, the lost sheep in the house of Israel. He is making a distinction, a separation of one people to another. Okay? Separation is not a bad thing. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we are only asking this because of what we have given to America. We are asking for reparations. I know that's what we're asking for. I don't know if we'll get that in my lifetime. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the best solution is not just reparation, but separation. Because we would have to do something for ourselves. And if they just throw a few dollars at us, how long would that last? But separation will put us in a position where we are on our own land, where we can make sure that we have that. It is very simple, brothers and sisters. Some of you do separate in marriage. When you can't get along with your husband, your wife, or your girlfriend, what do? You file for a divorce. Or you file what is called a temporary separation. Because you can't get along. Things are not working out. But you can't see us as a people separating, but you can see yourself separating from your mother or your brothers and sisters or moving to another community. I'm getting out of here. I'm separating. It's very natural when you can't get along. All praises due to Allah. Let us understand that. Number 5. Point number 5 on what the Muslims want. We want freedom of all believers of Islam now held in federal prisons. We want freedom for all black men and women now under the death sentence in innumerable prisons in the north as well as in the south. See, when he wrote this here, many of the brothers, Muslims, were in prison. The Christian groups and all the other religious groups that were in prison, they were allowed to worship freely. But the Muslims were denied that. We want the believers to be free. The Muslim believers who have reformed themselves. Right now, Biden just did an exchange of Russian persons in exchange for American prisoners that were in Russia. That was an exchange. That's called diplomacy. That's called negotiations. There was an exchange. You see how he did that for them? Now these cats that they freed, whether they were Russian or American, they don't do nothing for us. That's not an achievement for black people. That was for their families and for them. Okay? They made a negotiation. So, but there are Muslims in prison. They're being denied their rights. But who is going to come? But Mr. Muhammad stood up for us and said, those believers that in federal prison, freedom, give them free. Give them freedom. He said, we want freedom for all black men and women now under death sentence in innumerable prisons in the North as well as in the South. Why did he say the federal prison and not the criminal courts, the criminal state prisons? See, in the federal prison, that's where they held a lot of our people. And the federal government could supersede. They can supersede. They can go beyond. And all the president have to do is write an executive order. This is why he can write an executive order, and allow them to, those brothers and sisters that are on death penalty to come out of prison. This is true. Through an executive order. Yeah. This is why you see when presidents get ready to leave office, they exonerate people. They commute their sentence. Governors do it sometimes. They have that power. So the American government has the power to free all those brothers and sisters that are under the death penalty. And 90% of the time, many of them brothers and sisters didn't even commit half of those crimes. Can't get into everything. There's so much. He said, goes on, we want every black man and woman to have the freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master's children and establish a land of their own. We know that the above plan for the solution of black and white conflict is the best, not only the best, but the only answer to the problem between the two people. He says, we want the black man and woman to have the freedom to accept or reject to be separated. We're not forcing our people. We want them to have the freedom. We want our people to have the freedom to accept to be separated from white America. You have two states in America. You have Texas, which is a big state. You can give us land there. North Carolina, South Carolina. But we have to have the opportunity, every black man and woman, to accept this. But the only way that you can be able to make a decision like that, you must understand, brothers and sisters, the need. Because you know what? Deep down inside, deep down inside of all black people in America, we have this insatiable, we have this thirst, this desire to be a part of America. You know, fundamentally, theoretically, there's nothing wrong with that because we built this country. But don't be a part of something or try to integrate and assimilate into something that totally rejects you. It's almost like a person getting a kidney, but the body is rejecting that kidney, even though that kidney is there to save that person's life. But there's a constant rejection, and this is why a person like that is constantly on multiple medications. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a part of America. But we don't want to be a part of a country and a people that don't want to accept us equally and justly. We don't do that. See, this is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, God came to give us a plan, a divine plan, to come to the solution of the black man and woman here in America. We're moving right along. Number 6, we want an immediate end to police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negro throughout the United States. Here we are still asking for the police not to beat and kill us. Just recently, that sister in Illinois, you saw the news report, you saw the body cam, you saw the video. Miss Massey, a 35-year-old woman who called the police to her home because she believed that there was a prowler. And that police officer went in there. And there was an exchange of conversation. And you could see in the video, he was never threatened. Him and his partner, he had his partner with him. And she had a pot of water on the stove, boiling it, and he told her to move it. She moved it, and she said something like, I rebuke you in the Lord, or in the name of Jesus. In the name of the blood of Jesus, or something to that effect. And he took out his gun, and he put 3 bullets in her, 1 in her head. His partner wanted to rush and get a kit, a medical kit, and he said, no, don't do it. He said, she's done. That is on video. She was no threat to him. You can guarantee, brothers, that he came in there with the intent to murder her. Because you don't come in and you go through all of those changes and you that distant from her and you shoot her unless you came in there with that intent. Since we came here in America, they've been murdering and killing us. And we are asking, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we want an end to police brutality. We want an end against being attacked by mobs. This is why he taught us to protect our communities from outside groups that want to hurt us. But brothers and sisters, we can't allow or ask those that are hurting us, the police, to kill if we're killing ourselves. We got to stop that. Because they see us in a certain way. They don't respect us. They don't see us as human beings. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the only black man that stood up and said, we want an end, immediate end. We don't want no documents and written agreements and all. We want an immediate end. We want it to happen 6 months from now or 5 years from now. We're going to sit down and have a research over how we're going to do this here. No, we want an immediate end to police brutality and mob attacks. Brothers and sisters, this is very, very long, and we may have to end this here so we can do a part 2, because this is very extensive, and you must understand what this whole thing's about. That's why I'm encouraging each and every one of you. I'm encouraging the members of the Nation of Islam, read this document. We should know it by heart. We should be able to quote this. If you go to communist China and you ask the average Chinese man, woman, and child, what is the communist manifesto, or what is their documentation that justifies them as a nation, they can quote it. They can go to the page. They can tell you what page, what sentence, what paragraph, because they live it every day. So I'll go to number 7. No, I'll stay on number 6. There's more. It says, we believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in the white courts receive justice in accordance with the law of the land. To allow us to build a new nation for ourselves dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. Intercede into the courts. The federal government, because the federal government is the highest entity in this country, should make sure that black men and women that are tried in the prisons receive justice. We have dozens of men and women in prison who have yet to receive justice according to the law. Now, if we were truly citizens of this country, because some of you say you're an American. No, you're in America. How do you determine someone in a country or in a position to identify themselves as being a part of that? The only way you can do that is that that person or that people are receiving all the benefits of that country as a citizen. If all of us are sitting at a table and there's whole wheat bread on the table, there's chicken wings and there's rice and broccoli, and me, you, and all the other people, and you and other groups are sitting at the table. Everyone is eating but you. You're not a diner. You're not eating. So you're not considered one that should be equal to the rest of the table because they're not feeding you. You might call yourself a diner, but if you're not eating, you're not truly a diner. So if you're in America and not receiving all the benefits, all the justice and equality and freedom that all the other American citizens receive, then you're not American. You're a victim of the American society. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that the federal government should intercede to make sure black men and women that are being tried in the white courts receive justice. Number 7, and I'll end with number 7. It says that as long as we are not allowed to establish a state or territory of our own, we demand, we're not asking, Mr. Muhammad says. See, the reason why he can use that word demand, because he's coming from God. He's not, no one else is backing him, no school, no institution, no white people. He's not getting money. He didn't get money from anybody else. He said, we demand. He was basing that on the fact that he was given the authority by God in person in the name of Master W.D. Farad Muhammad. He said, we demand not only equal justice under the laws of the United States, but equal employment opportunities. And he puts in big, bold letters, not tomorrow. He said, now. N-O-W. We want this. We demand this. And I'll go next time into that number 7. So, brothers and sisters, thank you for listening at this particular time on what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us on what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. And in the message to the black man, he has a chapter on programming and position where he goes over. In fact, I'm just going to read briefly something that he said. He gives an explanation on what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. He said, I would like to put a little emphasis on some of what the Muslims want. He said, we are asking you, meaning white America, the former slave masters, for freedom indeed. I think that we are right. We use the words indeed as we have been subjects for now 400 years. This is a long time to be a subject to a people or a slave to a people. 300 years we worked for you for nothing. And those 300 years we were treated by your own like a herd of cattle. Those 300 years we were treated with no regard. And those you have you have no regard for our human rights, no more than you did your own animals. And white America right today, they treat their animals better than they treat us. That sister in Illinois, Miss Massey, they would have never shot their dog. They would have shot the dog with some kind of pellet to tranquilize him or her, the dog. But they shot her down in cold blood. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have given this country more than any other people, but we are treated the worst. But there's something in the street that I grew up, they used to say, you get what your hand called for. If we don't ask, if we don't make efforts, if we don't believe in the God of freedom, justice, and equality, then they will begin to treat us like we are worse or less than animals. So, brothers and sisters, I close for this part because it's not over. It's not the end. As long as we're here, we're going to be fighting and making sure that the people understand. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had the best and has the best program for the solutions for black people in America. You bring us another program. Show us something that's better than what he has given us. And we'll show you it's no comparison. So brothers and sisters, thank you for listening to us on these Sunday lectures called Muhammad Sunday Lectures, presented to you by Muhammad's Temple United, the Nation of Islam. And I just wanted to say that if you want to learn more about the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what we're doing as his followers, please, you're going to get some information that will be given to you after this lecture is over today, where you can contact us. And we also ask you to support us with your dollars. You know, we spend mad money with white people. We in a given day, we can spend $100 on ice cream, potato chips, and beer and liquor and hot sauce. We eat a lot of that kind of stuff. But help us with your donation. It could be $1, $5, $10, $100, but we ask you to help us, and you will get information after this lecture is over on how you can do that. And we thank you in advance for everything that you can do for us. So at this time, brothers, as I came to you, I opened up asking God in prayer for our protection and our blessings. And here I am, I'll do the same. Follow me silently in the Muslim closing prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praises is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone do we beseech for aid. Guide us along the right path, along the path of those who Thou hast bestowed favors, but not along the path of those whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor along those who go astray after they've heard Thy teachings. Say, He, Allah, is one God. Allah is He, whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He neither begets not, nor is begotten, and there is none like Him. and I bear witness that none deserve to be praised or worshiped besides Allah, who came to us in the person of Master W.D. Farad Muhammad, and we bear witness that the most honorable and humble Elijah Muhammad is his true servant and messenger. Ameen. Thank you again, brothers and sisters. May Allah bless you with truth and the light of understanding.
If you believe what you are taught today on Islam is true, and you would like to learn more, or you are ready to accept and reclaim your own, contact the Lost Found Nation of Islam Muhammad's Temple United at 623-312-4352. Again, that's 623-312-4352. We thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you return next Sunday and invite your family and friends. We ask your support so that we may continue to get the truth out to our people. You may contribute by donating to our Cash App at $MT United. That's $MT United.
The Lost and Found Nation of Islam, Muhammad's Temple United, is seeking to unite with all of the believers in temples across the country. If you are a member or a part of a temple, or if you have a temple, contact us and let us unite one nation under one way of life, Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't see your city or state? Let's change that. Let's unite and put your temple on the map of unity. Let us not come together in unity in belief only, but let us come together and unify as one in practice. The time is now, black man and woman. Your nation awaits you. Assalamu alaikum.